Hello, my name is Tracy Allen, and I want to welcome you to Cooking with Some Friends. Hey everyone, and welcome to Cooking with Some Friends. I am getting some potatoes ready, and we're going to do some twice baked potatoes, and we have these off and on. They're not a lot of work, but we especially like to have them on Christmas Eve when there's a big crowd of us, so I make up a whole bunch then. But I'm going to start with 8 average size. I want them fairly uniform in size, baking potatoes, and you can use vegetable oil or you can use shortening. And after I wash these, I want to cover each one of them really well with shortening. This will help with flavor, but it also makes the skins kind of crispy and hold together. So when you go to cut the inside of the potato out, your skin doesn't fall apart quite so easily. And I've got my oven preheating to 400 degrees. And so once I get this done, I'm going to put those in the oven for about an hour or until they're tender. So part of that would depend on the size you choose to have of which size potato. Okay. When I get done covering each one with shortening, I'm also going to go ahead and pierce each one with a sharp knife so that the potatoes don't crack in the oven. A couple on each side. Now flip it. You can also put coarse salt on the outside of these if you want to, but I'm going to kind of watch the salt content. So these are ready to go in the oven. We're ready to finish up our twice baked potatoes. So we're going to take the potatoes that we took out of the shells and we're going to mix those to mash them up. Then we want to add in, that'll stay put. We want to add in our butter and our sour cream and our salt and pepper and mix that in. This before the milk, while everything's still hot, you're less likely to have lumpier potatoes. Okay. Then I want to add in, mixer does not want to sit flat. I want to add in my cheese, and I want to reserve some of this to put over the tops of my potatoes. And I have some green onion I'm going to put in, and you can look in the beginning for the amount. My bacon that I've fried and crumbled, mix those in, and the only other thing I need is my milk. Okay, I want to add in my milk, and I want to be very cautious so it doesn't become too runny. So I'm just going to add part of it to start with. You want this to kind of stand up in your shells. Just a little bit more, but not much. Check my beater bars. good at that. Okay. So then I'm going to pull my potato shells over and fill these, and then I'm going to top them with cheese that I have left over and put these in the oven at 350 just until the cheese melts and they're hot all the way through, and then they'll be ready to eat. Go ahead and finish filling in just a second. I just want to show you how I'm going to do this, and put a little cheese on top of each one, and then I'll finish up. Good evening and welcome to Cooking with Some Friends. We like sometimes to have breakfast for supper, and that's what we're going to do tonight. I've got some bacon going and I'm going to scramble some eggs, but I'm going to make some pancakes, and I don't make pancakes from a mix. I make them from recipe, and we have them when we want breakfast or breakfast for supper, or Christmas morning when everybody comes over, we have pancakes and bacon and the whole bit too. But we're going to start with, I have about a cup of milk. The recipe calls for 3/4 cup, but I like to have a little bit extra in case my batter gets a little too thick as it sits. And to that, I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of white vinegar. I'm going to set that aside, and I have my griddle heating, so it'll be ready when I'm ready for it. I'm going to set it over there. Okay. Now in my bowl, I'm going to mix my dry ingredients, and I have in here, I have a cup of flour. To that, I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of granulated sugar and a teaspoon of baking powder, half a teaspoon of soda, and half a teaspoon of salt. And just whisk those dry ingredients together. Now I'm going to go back to my milk really quickly. And to it, I'm going to add my egg, just 1. And I've melted 2 tablespoons of butter that I'm going to put in that too. And I'm going to whisk those together. Now all I have to do is add my wet ingredients to my dry ingredients. You don't want to overmix these, just get them combined. And I found a lot of times, like I said, as it sits, it needs that extra 1/4 cup or so of the milk. Okay, so my griddle's getting hot, and I think it's getting too hot actually. One of the ways you can tell if your griddle's the right temperature, besides if the temperature knob, is you can take a little bit of water and see how it almost evaporates immediately. It's telling me it's too hot. If it were just the right temperature, the water would dance on there just a little bit, but it wouldn't evaporate immediately. So I'm gonna let that cool down just a second. And I'm gonna get a spoon to dip this out with. So I've let my griddle cool a little bit, and as you can see, when I do the water test, it dances, but it doesn't evaporate immediately. So I'm ready to go ahead and put my batter onto my griddle. And you can make these as big or as small as you want to. I like to spread them out a little bit because they are so fluffy. 3 on my griddle. And really, you want your griddle temperature right around 300. Got my eggs starting to scramble. Now, as this cooks, one of the ways you can tell if it's cooked correctly is you wait and there'll be bubbles that form. And if you take your spatula, when those bubbles form, if you lightly tap it on the edge of your griddle and they don't fill in, that means you could go ahead and safely turn your pancake. That means that the moisture is pretty much drawn from the pancake, so it's ready to turn. Then when you do the other side, you just look for a golden brown. Okay, I've got some air bubbles, and when I tap, they don't fill in, so I'm ready to flip. And I'll let them cook on this side, and we'll have our pancakes, some bacon, and some scrambled eggs for supper. Thanks for joining us for this session of Cooking with Some Friends. Make sure you like this video and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And find us on Facebook at Cooking with Some Friends.